Hello, everyone. It is weekly manga recap time. Special Friday recording time for this week. It is June the 21st of 2024. Yes, I am here with Quinn, or at least the most of Quinn's consciousness at this time.
You're not getting
whatever she can afford.
You're
at
not.
this point.
Yeah, you're not getting a full Quinn. You're getting like a Queh. You're not getting the full picture. I look like garbage. I'm exhausted.
No.
We're going for it. We're doing it. I'm not leaving my people hanging. Just it's gonna sound as though I'm like high or something during this episode. I need to assure you I'm not. I wouldn't lie about that. I am just so exhausted. And I've been busy all day today, essentially, so I haven't had the chance to like sleep it off. And at this point, I'm just gonna hold on till the end of the night or whatever. But I'm so exhausted. A lot of things are like leaving my memory, so I have no idea what the like recaps for the things I recap are. Which, of course, because there's no My Hero this week, is literally it's literally going to bookend this episode. So we're gonna see how that ultimately goes, but know that I do it for you. You might find me surprised by chapters I definitely have read midway through, as I'm like, oh my god,
Right.
Nick, did you know that there's the One Piece is real? So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
There's some weird chapters that we'll have to talk about this week. This is an odd lineup that we've got.
Yeah.
We've got like a new series to talk about. We've got a Boruto chapter to talk about. So I hope you're ready, everyone. This is going to be an odd one.
Yeah. Speaking of odd, though, fuck, it's an even number chapter. God damn it.
Damn it.
You couldn't help me out a little bit? Fucking Undead Unluck. God damn. All right, let's talk about Undead Unluck number 210, Unison. They're at the festival. Big festival. Yeah. The Idol Starline Festival is what it's called. And
yeah, the idol training from hell happened off screen, and it turns out that training from hell was for a tournament arc, which was the most surprising part of this chapter.
Didn't call that. We are introduced to a group known as the Shinkan Girls. I can't exactly read that text from here. They're irrelevant. Yeah. They're the jobbers who are here to get fed to Fuko's mom's group, which has now been labeled Unison. I guess you could just change the name of your performance group when you need to. And we see a shot of them as they're walking towards, and they all have like dark eyes because they've just been through this hell training. But amusingly, Mue is there, and she's like trying to fix Fuko's mom's makeup. She's like, we gotta get rid of these bags. You look like shit. And I'm like, girl, the exhaustion is part of the charm at this point. Like, this is fucking sleepy chic, okay? So sometimes you just gotta let it happen.
I do like that they're trying to have a big badass, walking together. We're tired, we're exhausted, but we're determined to win. And then Mui's just like, I need your help. You're just interrupting the badass pose to be helpful.
Yeah. So we cut over to Sean and Fuko. That's his name. I got it. And Fuko's like, nah, don't worry about that fucking tournament. Those bitches got it. They're so fucking good. We don't even have to. Instead, we gotta focus on two things. One, we gotta make sure my dad fucks my mom. Not in those words specifically, but we all know where it eventually has to go. So, like, we gotta get that on track.
Like everyone else is like leaving it unsaid, and she just dives straight to the topic.
She's like, my dad has to fucking rail blast my mom. Has to really fucking send her on a good time, because otherwise I'm not born.
Listen, we can't rest until my dad wears my mom's legs like a necktie. Okay,
Yeah.
like this is.
We can't stop until my dad stops accepting just blowjobs, because that's not going to get me bored. It has to be actual intercourse. And not in the ass. That doesn't count.
No, not anal. No.
No, I won't get born that way.
We need to get rid of the Christian propaganda that is, preventing people from having just pussy penis intercourse. Just need to have that specifically, and no pull out. No pull out. Sean.
No.
Sean, do you hear me? No pulling out. This is very important.
That's when they're like, use your undrawability on my dad's cock. He's like, I'm trying to pull out, but I can't. Anyway, the other thing they had to do is prevent unchaste tragedy. So she's like, let's start with my father. And then she sees there's a bunch of smoke coming from his apartment. She's like, oh my God, is she dying? Like, she opens the door real quick. And she sees that he just has a bunch of cigarettes that he's like trying to air out, essentially. And Fuko recalls a time when her mom was like, oh, Fuko wants to show you drawings. And her dad was like next to an open window, and he has it looks like a little vape pen, maybe, or maybe it's like filtered. I don't know. It looks like it's there's not as much smoke, and he's more well kept, essentially.
Right.
Whereas now he's like
he was aware that he was in a home with a child at the time.
As it is now, he is smoking so much he has what looks like 2 plates full of like cigarettes, essentially burned out.
Wow. So Fuko, parents
aren't
around anymore, huh?
I don't think Unluck had anything to do with your dad dying.
What did your dad die of? Having too much sex with my mom, honestly. That was it can be fatal, as it turns out.
It turns out he could never pull his dick out of her. That's a big problem. Undraw gotten a lot stronger since we last saw it. So, I'm trying to read even what happens here. He's basically like, sorry, I'm going to shut the window. And Fuko just walks in. She's like, hey, do you like my mom? She doesn't say it in those words. She says it like the actual person, but I'm not saying her name right now. I can't do it. Don't know how. And he's like, what? Am I that obvious? And she's like, yeah, no. I mean, but like you're smoking up like a storm here, but you never smoke inside the cafe where you actually can't smoke. You're like trying to impress her. So you have the hots for her. Like, I figured it out. And he admits that he's like a huge fan of her since her debut, but he never thinks that anyone like him could ever actually date her. And she's
someone with such great lung capacity. Yeah. I could never measure up.
Someone like her who can breathe and sing and talk normally without coughing up a lung and smoking 4 cigarettes. I could never. Someone like her can get through an entire performance without chain smoking the whole way through. So she's just like, oh yeah, like what do you like about her? He's like, oh, you're treating me like you're acting like it's fact. And she's like, well, like, what do you like about her? Like you've seen her performances, right? And he's like, oh, so you get it then. And there's like a confusion between the two of them. They're not on the same page right now. And he's like, yeah, she told me that you helped her out so she could participate, and that means everything's fine now. So like, I know she's gonna win the whole thing, and then she's gonna spread her wings and fly and flourish and meet someone really wonderful. And Sean's like, hey, wait, isn't this bad? This kind of sounds like your mom's gonna like not fuck your dad and not give birth to you. Like, this sounds like it's really bad. Like, she's going to become super popular and the gap's going to become too wide. He's going to give up on following her. So Fuko realizes this is like, oh, what are you getting all timid about? Like, you're a great pair. She needs your support. You know, she has all these issues. You can help her with her singing. You can help her with her singing voice. Yeah, I'm sure as a longtime fan, he's like, I don't think you get it. She's got an amazing voice. And we cut over, we get like a 1.5 page spread of Unison doing their performance, and everyone's looking super cool, but in particular Fuko's mom is giving a very good performance. It seems she's singing with a lot of passion, And Fuko's like, wait, who is... Well, I guess it's not Fuko.
That's the girl from
yeah.
Shinkan Girls,
Yeah.
the lead performer there.
You got me there. Fuko's dad's just like, oh, you must have seen her perform for the elderly, right? Yeah, she sings like that on purpose because they're hard of hearing, and she projects her voice intentionally to help them. She doesn't just sing and dance for the sake of her own show, but for the sake of her audience. And I'm positive that she's crushing. And we see in the... I don't know what metric they're using for voting. I don't know if it's... I know that, but I don't know if it's the audience who's voting or like a judging panel or like if it's like an amount of claps. I don't know, but unison one-handedly against the other girls. So they're gonna move on, but Fuko's dad's like, yeah, this festival is gonna cause her popularity to skyrocket, and that's why I've decided I'm gonna stop seeing her going forward. I don't want to get in the way of her dreams. So Fuko's like, you rat fuck disappointment. Like, you scumbag.
Get in there and fuck my mom.
Yeah, you scumbag piece of shit. Fuck my mom right now. Why won't you? Which I've had to say to my own fair suitors as a child. I was like, hey, get in there and have sex with my mom right now. And they were like, I'm just here to deliver oil. I don't know what you're talking about. Where am I? Anyway, Fuko's like, yeah, no, this bitch fucking loves you. She was real sad about you, like disappointing you. So you're already like more precious to her than her fucking dream. She's in love. You made her fall in love. So don't fucking run away, you cheap fucking ugly piece of shit, dickhead loser. She doesn't say those words specifically, but she is mad. She is mad at her dad. She's like, stop being such a fucking bitch and fucking give birth to me. Not you. You couldn't handle it. In fact, your job's very easy in the grand scheme of things.
Honestly, I just need you for 5 minutes, I'm guessing, looking at you.
Yeah, I'm going to get a quick gauge on you based off the amount of cigarettes you smoke. I'm going to assume you don't have a ton of stamina, so 2-3 minutes of your time, and then fuck off for all I care. In fact, whatever you... Get on the blimp now. I don't care about you. All I need is my mom. Anyway, she's disappearing or something because he asks why she's see-through, but she just storms out. She's just like, yeah, you better, like... My mom's going to make it to the finals, and you better get there, and you better fuck her. Maybe not specifically there, but at some point. Cut over to Soul, and Soul is just like, it's going to be a little futile unluck. He's giving, I don't know how, I guess he knows it's Pride Month. He's serving a lot of cunt in this opening shot. I don't know how to explain it. He's just got a lot of it, like, he's sitting, but he also kind of feels like he's sashaying a little bit.
He's sitting very conservatively.
Yeah, he's
I think it's just how he looks, honestly.
Whoa! He does have twink energy.
He does. I'll admit that.
Good for him. He's just like, yeah, you know what? She did a lot better than I expected, though, you know. So she's pivoted real quick. Change is just like, oh, wait, so you do have a hand in this? I didn't think there was, like, a paradox thing or something. Like, I didn't think that was a thing. And Soul's like, no, not really a paradox, but the vessel containing her soul is about to reach its limit. Like, a normal person gets their soul when their parents give them essentially a body. And then the soul goes into it and becomes self-sustaining and then lasts for like 100 years or so. About, you know, the extent of like an usual human lifespan. But her vessel is starting to show like cracks. It's starting to break down a little bit. And she used up so much of her soul during the fight with Beast that was sort of the tipping point. So to get another vessel, she needs a soul that matches the vessel, which is her parents. So she needs her parents to give birth to her, basically, to, like, repair her soul vessel thing. But Change is just like, you know, this isn't going to work, right? Like, knowing them, they're going to definitely make sure those two end up together. But Soul seems confident. He's just like, perhaps, but that's why I set things up against them in this loop. I made sure her mother would be in an idol because in the previous loop, I found just the right negator. And he just talks anonymously to the world, I guess, and says, "It's up to you. I've given you the help you wanted. Use that unchastity to ruin everything. Seek out Fuko Izumo and kill her. Sadako Kurusu."
Yeah, and it's Kurusu. Love.
I thought her name was Karuru. I've been saying it wrong for so long.
Well,
No one's ever corrected me.
I wasn't going to, because I don't know what her name is, apparently. So
Damn.
But she's got hardcore late 90s anime protagonist look to her. She looks like she could be Yami Yugi right now.
Yes.
With all the spikes and the collars. She looks so cool. I love her now. She's great.
Yeah, she's extremely Austin coded at this point. If you're into rocker chicks, she's got that vibe going a little bit, but still has like the idol skirt, so it's a little cute. Mm-hmm. And she looks evil, you know? She's going to use her power to make love never happen, because that's the whole topic of this. Can love flourish? And she could use her power to stop Fuko's parents from loving. So
yeah. Fuko's just like, I didn't say they had to love each other.
Yeah.
I said
you just need to make a baby. I don't give a shit if you two even like each other, all right? I don't need you two to fucking take me on park trips together, okay? I need his penis in your vagina and a baby to come out eventually. Presumably me. I guess don't shove another baby up there and then have that. It won't work that way.
Everyone's like, Fuko, if you're literally just concerned about the act of, the impregnation taking place, why don't you, have him be a sperm donor? It's like, okay, don't be a fucking prude here.
Oh, God.
It's obvious that it has to be ankles on the ears.
She has very specific positions and requirements.
Here, let me show you. Here's a diagram.
Yeah. She's like, I know you might be questioning, does my mother need to be wearing nipple clamps during the scene? Yes, it is integral. I don't know how to tell you, but without it, everything is lost.
Oh man. Yes, the fate of the universe rests on your shoulders, or your nipples in this case. Yes. God. All right. The actual events of the chapter. This is a nice twist and a nice development in terms of, it's not a time paradox or anything like that is happening. It's like no, this is literally going to replenish Fuko's soul. It plays further into how we are explaining how souls work at this time. And I do really like the twist of, the person they're trying to recruit has already been recruited against them. And I don't think that that's necessarily going to be a permanent arrangement. Probably not, given the way that everything in this loop has gone down. But it's a nice twist to the proceedings, a different obstacle for them to have to overcome.
Yeah, I think it's a cool setup. I don't. Yeah. Did I get across all my points?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Also, I don't know why this is a ladder tournament with knockout brackets between idol groups. I don't know if I've ever heard of that before. It's a weird battle of the bands.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like it though. I think it's gonna lead to some cool stuff potentially. And Karuru is gonna get, or Kurusu, whatever her fucking name is. People were saying in the chat that it's maybe her stage name, so maybe I haven't been getting it wrong. But yeah, I like the idea of giving her some time. I am a little sad that it doesn't seem like Tella's gonna get any focus during this arc. When he was
doesn't seem like
Moses,
the band is going to get anything now.
It seems like that's just more almost cameo than anything else. But good stuff.
Let's talk about Blue Box, chapter 153, Don't Eat Ice Cream.
Me?
Don't Eat Ice Cream. That's the title. Sorry.
No, this is a real thing, because I was going to get ice cream at the store today. I was very committed. I was like, you know what I haven't had, especially because it's I don't know, it's hot in Florida all the time. I don't want to bring that. It is specifically very hot right now in the Northeast. We are in 90-degree weather for the next 2 weeks at least. It's
that's not normal for you guys.
No, this is abnormal for us. So I was like, Quinn deserves a little sweet treat. Then I get to the fucking grocery store. Every fucking like fun ice cream treats like so many calories, and I can't do it. I just can't have it anymore. It's bullshit. It's
Mm.
fucking. It's homophobic. I'm not gonna lie. It's Pride Month. And this fucking ice cream says it's 900 calories if I eat the whole thing. Oh no, I'm gonna be a fucking monk who eats half of a fucking gelato Talenti gelato ice cream and then just puts the other half back. No, eat my entire fucking asshole. That's not happening.
I
What?
cannot contradict your argument that this is homophobic because I've never heard this argument before. So I will have to get back to you if you
Yeah.
want me to actually engage in a spirited debate on this topic.
Ben and Jerry's is homophobic. Okay?
Okay.
I don't know how else to say it. You can't make a salted caramel brownie ice cream and then make it too much for me to eat. All right? Make them smaller, bitch.
Why don't you just like eat less of it?
No! Okay? I don't know how I can explain this more. The second it's opened, I'm not halfway through going to say like, I've had enough. I've my little fucking pinkies up. Well, am I gonna be like, I've had enough for one day? No, I'm a fucking animal with ADHD. I don't know how to stop once the package is opened. Okay, Nick, I buy jars of olives and they're gone in a day. I don't know what to tell you. I'm a fucking pit.
I'm sorry that I ever suggested something so so ludicrous.
So absurd. It's like you've never known unless a fucking trans lesbian with ADHD before.
Quinn's like, that's why I ripped the entire freezer section off my refrigerator.
I can't. Yeah. What use is this for me?
Oh God.
So Blue Box, they're playing.
Blue Box.
They're playing golf or something.
It's it's the national badminton tournament for Taiki, and last time we had some focus on the fact that his parents are attending to cheer him on and stuff. And as it turns out, Karen and Haryu's mother are both in attendance as well, so they meet up with Taiki's parents. I like how Haryu's mom is referred to by someone of her peer group as Haryu's mom. Very nice, thank you very much. And she introduces Karen as Kengo's girlfriend. It's like, okay, yeah. And immediately Taiki's mother's like, oh my gosh, what a babe. Says it right in front of her. Wow, you look really good, just like Haryu does. You guys are such a great couple because you're both so young and pretty.
What a perfect couple. You're both extremely attractive.
So, Karen does have the only thing that she can do and just be like, all right, just take the compliment, just move past it, let's roll with it. And she says like, hey, Taiki's really good because I was there during the qualifiers, so I know he's very good. And hey, nice attitude to have considering that he beat her boyfriend in order to get to this place. So doesn't seem like she's bitter in this moment at all. Taiki gets set for his first round, and his mom, of course, is cheering like louder than anyone. And he he catches his attention. He glances up at her, and then we get a flashback to Taiki narrating. I thought adults don't eat ice cream, and there's a scene of his mom has just bought him a little ice cream pop from a vending machine. And she didn't get any for herself. And she's like, yeah, fat and sugar when you're an adult, it's really hard to work them off. But, you eat it. Go on and go ahead. And then she starts talking to him about, badminton, which he has just started playing. He hasn't even, signed up for it properly. And she, says like, hey, just so you know, they've got a basketball team. And he says, no, I don't want to do that. Badminton's cool. When you throw the shuttlecock, it's all wobbly and stuff. But if you hit with a racket, it flies like zoom. like I gave it strength, like a beam. So cute little kid stuff.
Yeah.
And I like how his mom's like, time to pivot this into making him be healthy. If you want to get stronger, you gotta eat your cherry tomatoes.
Eat shit, Mom!
No. Don't say that.
Eat my entire
Where did you learn that?
Mom! I'm never gonna
Where
eat your cut-soaked cherry tomatoes!
Where did you learn this language? Miss Fuko taught me all the dirty things.
She just says them loudly now. I don't think she cares.
Back in the present, Taiki has fallen behind, and so his mom is getting, worked up over it. But his dad is saying, like, man, he is really incredibly poised right now. Just complimenting him there. And his mom thinks, like, he really has grown up. And thanks to when, again, he was a little kid, when he buried himself under the kotatsu, like, fully like, I'm hiding under here, but his little feet are sticking out. And so she says, hey, did something happen at practice? And he's like, we did a round robin tournament and I didn't win a single match. And so, she says, like, hey, that happens sometimes. It's like, I couldn't smash the shuttlecock, and I lost against Kyo, even though we're at the same level. And so he says, like, badminton's fun, but not when I can't win, and that hurts. Hey, but it's very important for kids to be able to, experience winning, because otherwise they get discouraged and they don't want to do anything. So, yeah. But his mom says, look, that just shows how much you care about badminton. So let's start with overcoming your weaknesses. I know it sucks to not win, but I don't want you to think that just because you're lost that you're not good. You're full of potential, and you're always going to be getting stronger. And so Taiki starts saying, I was like, well, I'm not good at my footwork. And so she says, okay, well, then let's practice. And they go outside, and she starts practicing badminton with her son. And she's like, okay, come on. And he's like, you're not good, Mom. Shush.
I really support the mom saga that Blue Box has moved into, where it's just the be grateful for your mom arc.
Yeah. It's kind of weird because it's like, could have done this a month ago. Whatever.
Yeah, it's one of these things you're like, I guess this is a time and place for it. It all, like, dramatically you think, like, well, what's the narrative that ties this all together? Like, I almost expect there to be a scene of somebody, like, errantly hitting a shuttlecock so hard it, like, impales Taiki's mom in the head. Or, like, a stray shuttlecock's headed towards Taiki, just gonna knock him out, and his mom, like, jumps in front of it or something. Like, I'm just trying to think, like, narratively, why are we being reminded of Taiki's mom so much right now?
I want to think that it's just a matter of maybe there kind of wasn't a whole lot going on at this particular point in the story, and so there was just the thought of, like, what if we just kind of give a little bit of attention to something else in Taiki's story beyond just his relationship to Shinatsu.
Or alternatively, his mom is going to find out about him dating Shinatsu at this event, and getting the context to show why he's a good mom will inform or contrast the decision she ultimately makes. Because she could, if she finds out, immediately be like, I have to tell Shinatsu's parents immediately, who are probably going to immediately, like, pull her out to a different place. Or she might be like, just don't fuck up, and I'll keep this my secret right now. Or I don't know. Maybe something like that's going to happen.
Who knows? I mean, that is definitely something that is coming. I don't know if it's necessarily going to happen anytime soon, but they keep on building up that the big point of tension remaining now for Shinatsu and Taiki's relationship is their parents. So, yeah, you're right. We need some more development into their parental parent-child relationships until we get to that point.
Yeah.
So Taiki in the present is playing, and he, thinks, like, I have not gotten this far on my own. I have someone who inspires me, and I have someone who packs my lunch every morning. Very cute. Just like him seeing like the bento box when he's back from his morning jog, and there's a little note from his mom saying, "Good luck in morning practice. I'm going back to bed." And oh, Taiki, you did a nice thing. You even got her a little present for her birthday. She's like, "Yeah, I got you this voucher for hot springs." Well, me and my dad got it. Good, because you don't have all that money, kid. And he says like, "Hey, you should take the day to recharge and stuff." And she says in response, "Oh, did I do a good job raising you or what?" Well, Dad helped too. You're such a good boy, Taiki. You're trying to be respectful to everyone.
Yeah.
And after we get some more scenes of them together, and it kind of comes together with her giving him a little practice sports jersey thing as well. And this is during her birthday, which Taiki brings up, and she says, "I never stopped being your mom." Aw, cute. And they get Baskin Robbins. That Baskin Robbins? Wait a minute.
Those fucks! You have no idea. You can't the number of calories.
And the big joke or big revelation as Taiki, has the sudden thought of like, oh, parents are people too. Is that he learns that mom does like ice cream. And his dad explains to him in the moment, like, it's hard to eat ice cream when you're focused on taking care of your kid.
I like it.
I don't know if that specifically is true, but I understand the metaphor.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think there is a truth to it of just like it's tough to like eat something that could potentially be messy and take a little bit of focus when you're like, I have a young child who I need to focus more on making sure. Like it's just one of the many sacrifices parents will often make for the sake of their children.
Yeah, it's hard to kick back and relax and do something for yourself when you're so focused on your kid, which is the same thing that happened during this birthday where she was like, "Oh, I got you something," even though it's supposed to be my day where I get pampered and stuff. And so Taiki is focused on that, which is, kind of a recent revelation that he had, as he thinks like, she prioritized me over herself. She raised me with so much love, and I can't just fire beams anymore. But let me treat you to some ice cream today to say thank you. Let me kick this guy's ass because I love you, Mom.
Meanwhile, it cuts to the other Kitty's Plains mom as they go through her flashback, and she's eating ice cream all the time. She's like, "Fuck this kid."
It's my day.
She's like, "You think I'm giving up Rocky Road for this little bitch? Yeah, I bet you're not even going to win the first round of nationals." And as he loses, she's still eating ice cream. She's like, "I knew it."
Hey, pick me up another gallon on your way home early, you loser.
She's not even there. She's at home. She's like, text him, "Hey, since I assume you're going to be one and done in this tournament, can you pick me up some Chunky Chip on the way home?"
She's not even watching, but she still knows the exact moment he lost.
She's like, I felt the stink of failure in the air, so I knew it must have been your match. Turns out it was actually those eggs I left on the counter, but I bet you're still done.
Oh, God. This was a cute chapter. Like you said, though, I think the real meat of it is the real payoff is not going to come until later, after this build-up. This was definitely like, hey, it's good that we're doing this story in round one. I don't know if it would necessarily be a thing that would want to carry us through a late round, very important match that Taiki has later.
Yeah, I mean, like, this seems to be like I don't remember the region it was supposed to be, but the Deers from Ice Show 21, where it's like, this is like their first opponent, or I guess it wasn't their first opponent in the tournament.
They never faced them.
Yeah, guys. That's right. It was the medical facility college or whatever.
The Amino cyborgs?
Something. Amino sounds right. Something like that. Anyway, just the idea of like, this is an opening round opponent. We don't really have like a ton of story. We're not going to set this up as like a rival, but we want to do something in here. And like, yeah, like if nothing else, even if the arc doesn't end with Taiki's mom finding things out or being involved in some way. It is just genuinely very sweet to be like, hey, appreciate your mom. They did a lot for you. There's a lot of sacrifices that parents oftentimes make. And it's good to just be reminded of that. So, this might lead to something, but even if it doesn't, I think it's just genuinely very sweet to be like, hey, moms rule sometimes.
Yeah, and it's great that this chapter came out on Father's Day so we could all remember that.
I mean,
that's weird timing. That's all.
They don't have the same days, do they?
I don't think so, considering that those are both Hallmark holidays anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And now I wouldn't. But I just think it's a little bit.
It is very funny that it came out on Father's Day, and he is barely featured in this chapter. There's no discussion on whether Dad liked ice cream. You'll note that. Anyway, Nick, let's talk about Boruto.
Oh boy, Boruto!
Everyone's
Two Blue
excited for this
Vortex. Chapter 11, True Power. Featuring the guy who wears a massive cowl but no shirt and big pants but no shoes. It's great fashion choices everywhere. Last time, Himawari found out that she had the remnants of Kurama inside of her, and she went Jinchuriki, or her hair went Jinchuriki. It's got tails now, which is just long strands of hair, whatever. So she gets out of the tree that Jura had imprisoned her in, looks over at the other tree that he used to impale Inojin, and Shikadai realized, like, oh my god, I thought her leg was totally broken, but it's fine now. It's just healed. So she Wolverined it. She's fine. Himawari goes over to the thing impaling Inojin, and fuck climbing, her hair extends out and plucks him off of it.
I love, there was, at some point, like a decision made of like, all right, well, how do we want to visually make Himawari's like QB powers distinct from Naruto's? It's like, well, she has long hair. What if the long hair act like tail tendrils and she just could like climb and use them? And it's like, I guess, sure.
So there's this group that nobody's heard about called the Inhumans in Marvel Comics, and I just thought that,
I'd be more interested if it was even that. It doesn't even feel like she has like complete control of her hair. It's just like her hairs are like fucking tentacles. This is like some Doc Ock shit. Like, hold on, I got a couple extra little appendages, and they're gonna grab things.
She also imbues Inojin with some of her chakra, and so it heals the massive gaping chest wound that he has.
Yeah.
So very quickly establishing, like, hey, regenerative super chakra.
People were ready to call this the new Jujutsu Kaisen for the way it was about to kill off beloved characters like Ino's kid.
There's the thing that there's the thing that happens in Boruto every now and again, which is way too much dialogue for honestly very simple points.
I was gonna say it sucks because that's usually a more consistent thing.
That's if that were like a beat in a song, it would just be a constantly held note in the backdrop.
Yeah.
Like so constant that occasionally you forget that it's there. But in this case, it's just that there's a lot of dialogue where they basically just clarify Himawari is going to fight Jura while all the others run away. And they argue about it for a little while, but eventually Shikadai convinces Chocho that no, they should do that because clearly they aren't a match for this guy even with her power boost, so Himawari is just going to buy them time to get away. That is what is said in the course of these 4 pages, basically. There is a kind of cute moment as Chocho is wishing her luck, which is, hey, don't die because we promised we go to that new pancake house when it opens. Which at first I was gonna be like, oh man, just having again the Cho kid like be fat and be with food. But then Himawari's like, I haven't forgotten. I love pancakes. All right, I kind of like that. So Himawari squares up to Jura, and she's got super Naruto powers now. So she walks slowly towards him because that's what you do when you've got massive anime powers, is you walk slowly towards somebody.
Yeah.
Jura just like is like, I have to get my character across. I have to get my character across by overly explaining my thought processes to everyone. It's like, oh, he knew it was pointless. Why did he keep on trying to interfere? It is illogical. Illogical. Uh, anyway, so eventually Himawari is just like, shut up, and punches him in the chest. Yay!
He's dead. She won.
Yeah, she punched him. And then she punches him again. And you can tell that she punched him hard because there's speed lines in the background and a really big sound effect when she punches him. You can't see his face very much, so it seems like it didn't affect him very much.
I think Ikemoto, the artist for the series, gets like a lot of flack for a lot of reasons. And I think one of them really does need to be their inability to draw cool, like angry faces. Because Himawari has like a little glare during this fight on like page 12. And it's just Damien. Like, it's just Damien's face. Like, it's that shit-eating fucking look on their face where you're just like, you're not cool. Like, what is this shit? I don't know. I feel like it's mean to say that, but anytime a character tries to look like cool and serious in this series, it just does not have the energy to get that across.
Just make her look angrier, more feral. You know?
Yeah, make like, fucking ugly her up. I don't know why she has to like still look pristine. Like fucking make her look crazy.
Yeah. So Jura is sent flying, and he leaps up into the air to counterattack, dives towards her, and honestly, a cool thing happens, which is Himawari's hair strands all coil together like into a claw thing and focus into creating a tailed beast bomb. And it's like, yeah, all right, I'll take that. It looks cool. Launches it. Jura reacts very strangely because he has to pull back, but in doing so, it looks like he was going to fly down crotch
it
first.
Really
because
did look like he was doing like a flying crotch attack.
So he's like, oh, let me do my tailed beast bomb thing. And they both go, and they explode in midair. And when they meet, and so Jura monologues some and is like, it seems you can control Biju bombs, but I am curious how you advance so much. But even more so, I'm curious. They fight. He does something. He flips behind her and does something. I think that he steps on the back of her head. I think it's kind of hard to tell. It's very hard to tell. So it knocks her into the ground, and so he says, "I've decided to release just a little bit. You've made me want to test my true power." This doesn't.
What a cool scene!
Just like we've got no context to appreciate that he was holding back. Because who did he beat before? The children. So
yeah, Nick, you know that like famous thing people love when you're trying to like build up a new antagonist is like they just say stupid shit like I've been holding back this whole time and shit like that where you're just like I hate this. You suck ass. You blow. I could not dislike you more.
This is a pitfall that a lot of shonen writers can fall into very easily. When they're early on in their careers and they don't, know how to carry across a point like this. There's a fine line between cheesy and cool, and I'm sure that Kishimoto will eventually learn that.
Yeah,
and
that young rookie cool Kishimoto.
Yeah. So, that happens. We cut over to the Sasuke.
Surely a fight that has to be more interesting, right, Nick?
You would think. So Sarada and the others, Sumire and Konohamaru and some extras are there. They're facing down the Sasuke Biju guy who got knocked on his ass in that very confusing Chidori off between himself and Sarada. And he's got a giant massive hole in his side. And Sarada's like, I just hit you with a fatal blow. You've got to be in agony right now, so if you answer my questions, I'll ease your suffering. Why can you use the Chidori? And the guy does nothing. He just stares at her and falls down into one of the claw marks and comes back up and he's fine. He is regenerated somehow via passing through the claw marks. And
by the way,
observant McSmart, go ahead.
I was going to say, covered by the way, in all of the same, like, studded leather that all the claw marks are in, these claw marks, which at this point it's well established have the ability to teleport things around. It's not a known, like, new factor. They know that is what the ability is. That's why I keep that in mind as the rest of this fight unfolds.
Yeah,
and
he is lying surrounded by claw marks. There are claw marks all across this landscape that they are on, and he is sitting on top of one.
Yeah.
While this is happening,
characters will be constantly surprised or taken by surprise as they're like, he attacked me using a claw mark. You're like, well, we know that's what they do.
The great ninja Sideburns McObvious says his wound is healed, and yeah, it is. Hoodie Boy says those eyes, they're Sharingan, aren't they? Chidori, is that what the attack I used is called? I wondered why it was so hard to control, but it seems that eyes like yours are needed to master it.
I like the idea.
Okay.
When they get to the anime of this, for some reason, they do that like you just did it, where these guys, because they're such like weird new bodies, just have like weird obtuse line readings where they're just like, I wondered why it was so hard to control. You're just like, yeah, man, these fucking babies were born yesterday. They have no idea how the fuck to talk.
I mean, yeah, if these guys are like, everything is new and strange, then yeah, how would they know how to talk super well?
Yeah. They should all fucking have like Christopher Walken inflection and shit like that. Dory.
Konohamaru demands to know what his connection to Uchiha Sasuke is, and he's like, who is that? Who am I? I'm trying to figure that out. So I came to Konoha. And Sumire suddenly goes, protect Sarada!
Can I offer a potential side idea?
What?
Konoha. Like he puts the emphasis on the O for some reason.
Not the N from that syllable.
Konoha.
That's why I came to Konoha.
There we go.
So Sumire is like, Master Konohamaru, you've got to protect Sarada because his target is Sarada. I know that it is his target. And so everyone's like, all right, let's not move from these claw marks. And Sarada gets Chidori'd through a claw mark.
It's like comical. You're like, well, you did not, like, how did you not realize there's a claw mark behind you? And I get it, he's being sneaky, but it's like, his hand is in his fucking pocket. Wouldn't you be at least a little concerned where his fucking hand is? Like what it's doing? You're ninjas, for fuck's sake.
This cloak does not have pockets. I had to use my special claw powers to make them myself. Which is fine, because now I can reach things on the top shelf without getting a step ladder. Which I don't like using. It makes me feel like I'm short.
Everyone's slowly just left as he just goes on his tangent. Wait.
Curses! Once again, my slow delivery worked against me.
I must leave Konoha now. Return home. Practice. Chidori again.
Turn someone else into a tree, which I still don't know why we do that. Because, again, I know nothing about who I am. Sideburns dude is like, Earth-style jutsu, and gets set on fire, and I wish that this panel of him going, was larger. It's so visceral and so crammed into a tiny corner.
No one says his name. My man's being roasted alive. Not one person threw out like a Hank or some shit. No one gave a fuck about you, my guy. There were like 3 other characters. One of them could have at least thrown you a cursiary like, Jeff, watch out. Not one. Sarada, or fucking, what's her name? It's just like, oh no, Sarada. He's like,
Oh,
he's on fire. Like, oh, fuck me, I guess.
Hey, stop being selfish. Sarada was momentarily stunned by the electricity running through her.
Yeah, it's that special Chidori that fucking stuns people, that stun locks people instead of ripping them in half.
Konohamaru tries to use Rasengan, and Hoodie Guy just
Again,
the most embarrassing thing. Like,
this is straight up.
I've learned this
shit.
from Gakuro.
It's straight up cartoon shit. He just he's like, I've got him, and he just whoop behind him. You're like, how do you not see these claw marks and know how to respond to them? For the love of God, guys.
Oh man, so yeah, he gets teleported behind, whirls around, and uses a variation on the Rasengan, a Rasen Barricade, which does help to divert the Chidori, but he still gets knocked away. So much for wind beating lightning, by the way. That was a whole ass thing that we went through, that there were Pokemon type advantages, and we see them directly clash, and still Konohamaru loses, so fuck him, I guess. Sensory McStupid facial hair goes gulp and does nothing. He just stands there. Sumire also gets stun locked by the Chidori. Sarada is still stunned and can't react while Hoodie Guy stands over her. We cut away from there to Jura starting to just beat Himawari's ass because he is now using 1% of his power, or what the fuck ever. He uses his Biju bomb thing, and it like explodes Himawari's side, but it regenerates so quickly that there's not even a wound when it happened. It just rips her shirt a bit. So she collapses and she's like, ow, and I've got an ouchie, and it does like sizzle and heal and stuff. And so Jura goes like, oh, you do have like crazy Wolverine healing power, but you're also weak. Like, you don't have a lot of chakra to expend. Obviously, there's a power difference between us. And internally, Kurama's like, yeah, he does have, like, way more chakra than you. Just don't have as much to call him as he does. So we're kind of fucked. Sorry. Kawaki and Delta are flying. Woo! We're flying like ninja do. Flying. Whoosh. And they're, bickering until a much faster whoosh goes past them, and it's Boruto. He can Superman fly way faster than them. And he races past Jura, grabs Himawari.
This is so fucking funny to me. I don't truly understand this. Like, they set up this scene of, like, Kawaki's, like, fucking flying, and fucking Delta, and they're like having a conversation. They're like, important things are happening, we should get there. And then Boruto just like fucking speed shoots past them. It's just like, were they on fucking cruise control? Like, they don't care how fucking fast they get. Like, what is there speed limits to our fucking chakra flying now? Like, what is this series?
I am still getting over their being chakra flying, Quinn. Okay, they used to have to jump from tree to tree. All right, so I don't have any qualm about the different speeds of their bullshit flying techniques, because they shouldn't be flying to begin with. Anyway, Boruto grabs Himawari and is just like, I'm leaving now. Whoosh, and then Hoodie Guy is like, I'm going to keep monologuing about how I don't know who I am while I turn my arm into a tree and grab you. What will I gain if I devour you? And then Sarada spots behind his shoulder, up on a telephone pole, that there is a frog. And he's got a little square tile with him. And the frog that is acting as Boruto's spy communication guy says to him, Uchiha-Sarada's location is confirmed. The symbol is square. And so Boruto, still carrying Himawari and flying away, activates his flying Raijin to teleport to that square and appears at the scene where Hoodie Guy is trying to devour Sarada, flies down, draws his sword, cuts through his arm to get it off of her. So Kafka got Mina away from Kaiju number 9. Boruto got Sarada away from Jura, and not Jura, Hoodie Guy, whatever.
Who gives a shit? They're all the same.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, you crafty thing." Is like, what do you mean crafty? He showed up and cut your arm off. So, look, Boruto did a kind of cool thing because, like, oh, hey, look, a smart way to use your teleport thing. Have spies set up so that you have a communication system so you can just teleport all around a wide battlefield. Sure, cool. And hey, the hair thing did a cool beast bomb thing. I liked that. Jesus Christ, these villains suck, though. And again, what is that sensory ninja doing anywhere at any time? He is right there while all this is happening and does nothing. He doesn't even throw the obligatory shuriken to try and stop this guy.
Yeah. He's like, oh, that would just be wasteful. I'm gonna waste good shuriken like that. I mean, I do have an issue that the two most, I guess, prominent female characters in Boruto both had to be rescued by Boruto in the same, like, not even the same chapter, but in the same like breath. Yeah, like it was like Boruto had to go really, really fast to make sure he saved both of them. And I do, as you said, I do appreciate they put something in there to be like, oh, well, he teleported using, special kind of like help with his frogs to like make sure it happened. But it just feels a little lazy that both of these situations where things look bad had to be resolved by Boruto coming in to save them. I guess it's better than like them getting resolved the exact same way in like two separate chapters, but like I don't know. Boruto isn't this cool, gang. Like I would have been very happy to see like, oh, Himawari was overmatched, but she has such relentless power that like maybe she collapses the cave on them to use that to escape. Like she ends the fight that way, or something happens that delays it. I don't know. There's ways you could go about this that I feel like would be more interesting than this.
Her beatdown of Jura lasted 3 moves, and that's not enough if you're trying to get across that she's like dangerous and powerful now. She should have, for a little while, like the way that you pull this off is you dedicate half of this chapter to her beating Jura's ass, and then the other foot drops, and Jura's like, all right, time to get serious. This was not nearly enough. And then you have Sarada and company being stupid. They're being stupid. They've known about Code's claw marks for years at this point. How do they not know?
I love that. Years. Yeah, like there's nothing in it. There's like that fight just makes like Sarada and gang look so stupid that they constantly are like standing right next to claw marks and then get surprised when people get the jump on them. And then Boruto shows up in like a scene that doesn't have any tension because like again, like in this fucking universe where we fly now, we haven't set any precedent for like what speed is, like how fast people can get places. So Kawaki and Delta are moving at one speed, and Boruto is just faster. Did he use a technique to get faster? Is it straining him to move that much faster? Is there a danger to doing it? Is he like over emotional in this moment? How is he? None of that stuff's focused on. It's just speed lines, and Boruto is super fucking fast. He's a fucking Chevy Dorado who's just fucking flying through the air. Like who gives a shit? What is this? This is nonsense.
If in 5 years' time we learn that Kishimoto was writing Boruto by participating in a forum RPG with a bunch of 12-year-old fans who would try and set up things that were interesting, but honestly they were under-equipped because they're just not very good writers. They just have more enthusiasm than they do, knowledge of story beats and stuff. And then every few posts when Kishimoto wakes up, you go, Boruto flies in and saves everything. And, no one's willing to call him out on, like, your character's too OP because they're like, he's Kishimoto. We can't just, like, call him out on how he's not making it fun for anyone.
It's very funny you would say that because I could only imagine if I was back in my days of doing, like, forum roleplay stuff for, like, manga again, if I was doing like a Naruto role playing forum and like the manga's ended at this point, so characters are like creating their OCs, and you're like, my character is half from the Sand Village and half from the Land of Fire, and they're kind of like a unison between the two. Like, you have all that shit, you're like, whatever. But if a character told me my character flies, like my character just gets up and flies, I'd be like, get out of here with this bullshit. This is some bad nonsense. What made you ever think that this world needed characters that could do this sort of
Just
shit?
a 17-page debate over whether or not characters in the RP should be allowed to fly.
Yeah, like that would be a pinned post in one of the boards. It's a pinned topic.
Do not say that your submitted character can fly.
Yeah, your characters can't fly. That would be the first thing. Your characters can't fly. This isn't Dragon Ball Z. Characters can't just fly anywhere they need to. You can't just say they have chakra powers that do it. That doesn't work. Anyway, Boruto sucks. We waste our lives reading. Let's talk about Kaiju number 8.
Kaiju number 8. It's time for another flashback chapter. We got another one this week. It's Kaiju number 8, chapter 109. It's back when Mina and Kafka were kids. And so they're talking about what they're going to be like when they're Kaiju officers, Kaiju Defense Force officers. And Kafka just goes like, I'm going to wear a cool combat suit, have an unleashed combat power of 99%, and I'll be a master blade wielder and the strongest sharpshooter. I'll have 10,000 Kaiju kill count. I'll be the first of the captain popularity polls for 10 years straight. And Mina's immediately like, wow, nice, super OP creating officers. You gave yourself 100 and everything. Really interesting. Nice, Kafka. Mina has a more thoughtful answer, which is, I want to save lives. I want to save officers, citizens, pets. I don't want anyone to die on any mission that I'm on. That's the sort of officer I want to be. Aww. And Kafka's like, it's kind of unrealistic, don't you think? She's like, what the fuck are you talking about, Mr. 10 popularity polls, one in a row? Fuck you. She doesn't actually say it like that. These guys are like 8 at this time, it seems. But Kafka says, all right, well, let's make it happen. The two of us can make it happen for sure. In the present, Mina has just recovered enough from being nearly devoured by number 9 to rescue Kafka from his beatdown, but of course he is in the guise of Kaiju number 8 right now. He's still beaten up and looking at her as she approaches him. And the two of them don't say anything. She comes up to him. They stand side by side. And finally, when Kafka says something, he starts to say something. She just says, liar. You said that you would catch up to me right away, and I thought you would never make it. And I love the face that Kafka pulls with the big eyes, just being stepped over. And so he gets sheepish. And she says, also, back on the rooftop, you didn't rely on my aid. You were trying to handle things on your own. And Kafka's like, yeah, Ichiko made me realize that wasn't going to work. Sorry. Not only did I get here late, the person I am now isn't the one I expected. And Mina thinks back to her time in the internal world with number 9 being surrounded by dead bodies. And she says, I haven't been able to become the adult I am to be either. But we have to keep moving forward.
I do like this moment a lot. I think I sometimes have a hard time explaining exactly why I like Kaiju number 8. Because, like, ultimately I recognize it doesn't really do a lot of things new. Like I've said before, like, it doesn't, like, do anything surprising. It just tends to execute very well. But this is a moment where there is something. Like, I do like this moment of Kafka being like, I guess I didn't end up being the soldier I wanted to be, as he's, stuck in this kaiju body. It's the only way he could stand anywhere near anyone else here, is to, kind of have this, form that is monstrous. And then Mina reflecting in her own way of just being like, I haven't been able to save everyone. Like, I don't know, it just adds like a gravity to these characters that adds a lot to them. So I do appreciate. Do you think Kaiju number 8 knows how to, like, get the most out of its characters that have been done before?
Yeah. The regrets of not living up to your ideals from 20 years ago. Ooh. Number 9 recovers from being shot, bursts out of the rubble, still has 2 heads. And so Kafka, shakes it off and gets ready to engage again. And before that happens, Mina says, Kafka, thank you for being by my side. Big 2-page spread of her just kind of like smiling to herself about it. And hey, the big thing happened. They're fighting side by side. It's the big thing that's been set up since the beginning of the series. It's not the way that either of them imagined it, but it's happening. Yay.
You think Kaiju number 8's ending, Nick?
It kind of feels like it could be now.
I was like, this felt almost weirdly final. I was like, oh.
Like, there is plenty of room for you to just, like, do other stuff.
Yeah.
But in terms of, like, the main character thread of, like, this is the personal goal that Kafka has, this is it. Like, it's happening right here. So there's going to have to be something else that would bring us in if we are to continue from this point forward.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's interesting stuff. Fucking Zero. God fucking damn it.
Yeah. Also, I just want to say the final shot of the two of them squaring off against Kaiju number 9, it reflects all of the shots of them standing, side by side from the back.
Yeah.
It's neat. Yeah, but we do gotta do Eden Zero, the second to last chapter?
I think there's supposed to be one left. I think. Don't quote me on it. I'm very tired. This is chapter 2. Oh my god, my voice is falling apart. Chapter 292. Fucking Jesus. Friendship never ends. Eat my
come on, Quinn, you
entire
gotta say
asshole.
No, you gotta say it right. Friendship never ends.
Yeah. I would love it.
If you want to be Eden Zero, you've got to be hero.
You gotta not be good.
Draw those girls in bathhouses.
Oh man, I wish I was more awake. I would love to have put the crescendo on that, but all I can think about right now is like, BDSM doesn't have to be consensual sometimes. Anyway, we cut over to Earth. And surfing, as you do. Cut over to it. Anyway, we get to see Valkyrie, but it's not Valkyrie. It's the person Valkyrie was based off of, but I'm not memorizing her fucking name. I know they say it's Yuna, but I don't give a shit. Anyway, Valkyrie meets Valkyrie, and Valkyrie is like, huh? And then sister meets sister, and it's like, eh? And fucking all of them keep meeting each other. Witch is like, hey, wait, you're an android? She's like, yes, based on you in the future. You can't expect, no, that's not an interesting line. Never mind. Anyway, she hands her, like a fucking galaxy sushi. I don't know what the fuck this is. I guess this is a B cube.
This B cube will explain everything. Great. This is not compatible with any of our technology, so we can't read it.
Great. What's a B cube? The two hermits are like looking at shit and they're like, hey, look, this is your planet. It's gonna fall apart, but we know how to fix it, basically. So don't worry. It's gonna work out perfectly. This is great. The Valkyries are talking to each other, and one Valkyrie...
Fuck time paradoxes, by the way. Just completely fuck them.
Doesn't work like that. One Valkyrie's like, hey, why was I designed to be a surfer? And the other Valkyrie's like, hey, I mean, you're asking me, why was a robot based on me made into a swordstress? That doesn't even make sense.
It's almost like it was completely random and there was no actual reasoning for it. But if I just remark upon that in a jokey way, now it's good writing, guys. It's okay.
I've lampshaded it. No one can be mad. It's actually quirky and fun that there's absolutely no connection between these two characters because Hiro realized at some point he didn't have enough interesting roles for characters from Earth to have. He was like, well, I have a scientist and another scientist, but this one's sick. And then like a young kid, and then like, fuck a surfer scientist or something.
I like how he tries to do the same thing with the sisters, and it's immediately like, no, that one actually had some, reasoning to it. You can't just say like, oh, these were all so random. It's like, no, only one of them was super random.
Well, I do want to comment on it because the sister that is from the Eden Zero universe, like it's supposed to be how they're both like almost like a little bit like condescending to the role the other one has. So like, the sister who's been in the hospital is like, I'm a nun, and the other one's like, I'm a sickie. And I'm like, what kind of weird slur is that? Like, I don't know why, but that feels so derogatory. It's like, I was one of you sickies at one point. Gross.
She's a healer. Her bedside manner is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, does she say that every time she goes to like help somebody? She's like, I'm gonna wear gloves because you're one of those sickies. Ew, gross. Anyway, Witch is just like, hey, we did all this because like we were designed after you, and also this planet is the Great Demon King's home. And then Wizard shows up, and Witch like turns her head, I guess, because she can't face him. I can't remember if he died, like the robot version of Wizard died. I don't remember what happened to any of the Shining Stars or Dark Stars.
It's almost like they didn't have enough attention.
I truly like. I know we talked about how that was like a dog shit romance or something like that, but I am saying here, truly curious what actually happened to any of them because I don't remember. I remember they fought. I don't remember like what the resolution was. Anyway, Witch leaves by saying like, "Oh, by the way, I hope your baby is healthy, and happy." And it takes them for a loss. I would love if she's like, "Bitch, I hadn't told him yet." Like, what the fuck? Anyway, 16 years have passed. They built a lot of things. I love one of those great character moments. We get a series of panels showing time passing, a little dialogue boxes 16 years later. Opening panel, Valkyrie.
Wow, so it's been 16 years, huh?
In that way. I mean, I guess she's not. She's a robot. So she doesn't. Well, no, this isn't. This is the human one. This is human Valkyrie. It's just like, yeah, I can't believe it's been 16 years.
What great fleshed out characters these are. You see them talking on the phone saying things like, so it's been 16 years, huh? We sure have made some technological advances. And you're like, you know what? Dr. Yuna would say that in this situation. Yeah. I can just see that if this happened to Dr. Yuna, the great, well-defined, fully fleshed out character, that this is how she would talk. She would exposit things and talk about things really awkwardly.
Well, Nick, you know what? Maybe this is genius. Maybe this is actually a real, like, 4D chest brilliant move. Because who was Valkyrie a mentor to?
It was
Homura. What is Homura's character trait?
Yeah! And she can't stop saying obvious things that come to her mind.
She can't just stop saying the exposition. They all have their own little quirks. Everyone's got their fun little gimmicks. Anyway, someone's like, well, since it's been 16 years, that means your baby, who is 16 years old, is starting high school, right? So, cut over, 16-year-old Shiki is walking to his fancy private school, and he bumps into Rebecca, and they're like...
I like how when the sound effect is bump, the arrow is pointing directly at Rebecca's head, so it looks like she says bump.
It really does look like she vocalized it. Also, it's tough to tell what actually got bumped, because you can see her arm placement, like her hand is there. So it doesn't seem like physically anything actually bumped each other.
Yeah, and also they're already past each other, so it's like they didn't bump until they were already almost fully past each other. Like they had to do it at the last second to make sure that they would bump.
Yeah. They both apologize to each other, then introduce each other. And then a little girl comes up and goes, "Oh, sister, you forgot your lunch." And it's Pino, little baby Pino, who's Rebecca's...
Little baby human Pino.
Yeah, human Pino, who's like, "You forgot your lunch." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, let me introduce you to Shiki." And she's like, "Nice to meet you, master." And he's like, "What the fuck? What the fuck with your little sister?" And she's like, she's been watching some weird cartoons recently, and I don't know
let her watch those cartoons anymore, like, because I'm very disturbed by the implication that she sees a guy and is be like, "Master!" Like, ah!
Yeah, you need to stop letting her watch these cartoons, dog.
No more Shield Maiden or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. My little sister, who we raised exclusively on old episodes of Totally Spies, she's like, "Anyway, will you two be my friends?" And we cut to what's actually happening, Nick, because this was a brain dream that a robot had, like a dying dream, and Shiki is cradling Pino's dead robot body. Credits.
Yeah. Look, the idea in general, in theory, that Pino dies for mysterious reasons. I'm sure that'll be explained. The Pino dies and then appears as a human and fulfills her dream, but it's on the rejuvenated Earth. That's an okay way, in theory, of resolving that character thing and bringing things full circle. The execution, as always, is where things go wrong with Eden Zero. It's not just the big things, it's the little things. Like, the way that Rebecca and Shiki's meeting is even drawn is so awkward that there is something to comment on there. The fact that all the characters have nothing going for them in this setting, so it has no impact when they meet each other.
There's nothing interesting about this new timeline. None of the characters are doing anything interesting. They don't have interesting lines to say to each other. Eerie Gray brings up something in our chat that says, oh, I think that Pino's soul or whatever went into the new Earth timeline. And I have one thought to that, which is like, how? And I suppose the answer to it, in the same way it is with everything in this stupid fucking series, is gravity. Gravity brought Pino's soul into that new timeline. But it truly does need to be, like, said or something like that. Like, I understand maybe next chapter is where we get that revelation. Probably that's fine, but it does take the punch out of this chapter that, like, the first time I finished reading it, I was like, was this, like, a dream? Or, like, even in this recap, I wasn't sure what it's supposed to be. So it's just, like, a strange tone to be like, oh, we got, like, a fucking what if AU high school AU fucking chapter, but it's not interesting. Like, it's not cool. I wish, like, the concept had something unique to it. Like, I wouldn't even be upset if they were like, hey, like, what if all of our friends were just in high school together? Like, they'd show, like, cool things. Be like, hey, Valkyrie is the kendo teacher at the school or some shit like that. And, like, fucking Lobelia is the popular girl who bullies Rebecca on the surface, but actually they're friends or something. And Couchpo has, like, a cooking class she runs or something. Just do something! Something interesting with these fucking characters! I don't understand why they can't do anything!
Eden Zero, honestly, I infinitely prefer chapters like this over the last 7 months of chapters that we've gotten, because yes, it's bad, but it is perplexingly bad, and at least that's interesting to talk about. There's like, look, I can at least tell you why this is so infuriatingly bad, as opposed to just like, well, it just kind of sucks. So, yeah, bad. Almost over with it. So let's move on to Astro Royale, Chapter 9, Wax and Roses. So last time, they went into a haunted house place, and weird stuff attacked them, and then a girl from the past showed up, and they got out of there. So Tarasu and Quran, they start to come around. The stuff that was affecting them wears off, and Cop Guy is like, "Oh man, you guys got overwhelmed too." And then the girl, she says like, "Yeah, and for some reason they didn't work on me though." And so Cop Guy is like, "Oh man, yeah, all the people who got attacked by the ghost thieves, they said that we were attacked by a giant monster first, and when they came to, they were encased in a hard wax shell like a doll. Also, at every crime scene, there was a single rose that had a really strong smell. So, Tuxedo Mask was attacking them, I guess. So, what a weird calling sign. A single rose. So, they try to figure out what was happening. Tarasa seems to start figuring stuff out. He's realizing, like, hey, there were the roses in the foyer, the candles over the mansion. I think I understand what the trick was. It's a combination of two techniques, and they're not going to fool me again. And then Karan's like, you dropped your leg. He's like, oh no! My power thing, it's gone! Oh no! We immediately see
that this character has never really had a moment to look cool in this series. Like, it was kind of established early on that, like, this is the character who's the second to our lead, And like in some ways, it's supposed to be even better than him because he was the one nominated to take over the family. Because he's
Right.
like, look, I need you to have that role because I need to be like in a flexible thing, and you'll be better at it, all that sort of stuff. This character has never done a single fucking cool thing once in this series. He was entirely a bystander during the entire last arc. Didn't do a single fucking thing in it. And even in this, he's just like, oops, I dropped my thing. I dropped the one thing that was super important to me.
Yeah, and also while this is happening, like while he's like to me like, "Oh, I have an explanation for what's going on," there is someone who is shitting on him actively as it is happening. Like, stop trying to look cool. You got your ass kicked before. It's like, don't do this. Look, don't just bury everyone you work with. Come on. So, all right, we cut over to inside the mansion where we see the true guise of the ghost thieves. There is a little guy in an Italian suit called Hajime, and there is a large transcoded person that
Oh, Nick, is it not handled well?
no.
Oh no.
No. So her name is Korean, and his name is Hajime, and immediately they it's like they don't even let it rest at all because Hajime is like, yeah, I like it when things are easy, big bro, and she says, call me big sis. It's like, if he's not gonna do it, then who is? Like, come on, like that's not cool. Uh, so Karin points out like, yeah, don't let your guard down because that group had a girl with them, and I hate girls. And
Another fun little character trait to give your transcoded character. She hates women. Hilarious.
So Kinpa shows up with Hibaru, and they're like, "Ha, we're here now." And Kinpa's like, "I know that your Astro doesn't work on girls. Neither of your Astros work on girls." And Hibaru's like, "Yeah, and the monsters don't come out if you don't sniff the roses." They're like, "What? Wait, what the hell? How'd they get here? What happened?" And so they start running around, and they're like, "Well, we gotta get them with hallucinations, and then freeze them with wax and steal their stuff." And they run around the corner, and Tarasu and the cop are waving Quran, who has turned into a giant fan, so they can just blow away all the hallucinogenic scent that they've got all over the place. Yeah, Hibaru confronts him and is like, "Hey, can I ask you something before we fight? Where's the gun you stole from the cop?" And Hajime smirks evilly and goes, "I don't know," which is weird. So Hibaru's like, "All right, well, I'm going to have to punch you then." And so he goes to punch him, and the guy uses wax to block it. He's like, "I can control wax at will. This is my Astro Wax Sculptor, Mr. 3." And so he's got a bunch of candles in the mansion to work with.
It is. So I want to talk a little bit about manga in general, battle manga, all this sort of stuff. Yeah. So like back in the day, there was like this thing that like when battle manga did like powers, it didn't like do them in particularly interesting ways, which is what always made me appreciate One Piece. Because even if a character had powers that I've seen done a billion times, they like One Piece had a way of doing them in interesting ways. Like Ace's fire attacks usually looked different and looked cooler than most people with fire powers. And like Mr. 3 is a great example. I've seen people with wax or like wax adjacent sort of abilities. And like Mr. 3 had like legit things. This dude just is like it's just like, here's shit. I squirted it on you. It's wax. That's it. That was the beginning and end of this character. And you're like, damn. Like, is there not a creative bone in your body? Like, is there not like a single part of you? It's like, I could do a better idea than this. Like, not a single shred of you thought like a take two or something. Like, I don't know. It's a little embarrassing to be like considered a veteran in this industry and you don't have any interesting ideas for like a fighting manga to have. That feels shitty and cunty, and I'm in kind of a cunty mood, I guess. But like, I legit think this is a little embarrassing.
He just kind of freezes wax, and he traps Hibaru's hand, and that's just kind of it. And then Korean comes in and sprays some perfume, and when Baru smells it, the creepy monster appears again. And Korean's like, "Yeah, let me just explain to you how my power works. Use this, get rid of this, so that I don't have my powers. Do that." She just says, like, "Yeah, the scent of the roses is not where my power comes from. It's the scent of this perfume." And so she sprays it around. Karan and Tarasu and the cop all start to hallucinate. Karan is fine because he no-sells creepy stuff.
Yeah.
But Tarasu is immediately like, "I'm not cool. Stop thinking I'm cool. I'm not good or interesting or impressive." He just goes, also, it's called Eau de Phantasm. It's a good name.
Yeah.
Like
do you want to finish the other side of that panel?
I got this Astro wishing to steal the attention of men.
What a cool motivation for your trans woman character to have. She wishes to steal the attention of men. So fucking cool. So
the fact that it's worded that way.
The way it's worded is perfect. It's certainly not like trans women sometimes live in an existence where violence is put upon them for this exact thing.
Get out of that. The bad guys are laughing in triumph. Hajime calls Karin Big Bro, and again she says, "Call me Big Sis."
Now this is honestly the funniest part of the chapter. No, not that. Not the transphobia. It's that it gets to Hajime, and he's like, "Let me explain my backstory and why, like, my Astro is this lighter." And you're like, "My dog, you are the third motherfucker in this series of like 8 characters who has used the lighter as your Astro." Again, it's embarrassing. How are you repeating yourself this much? Like, what the fuck is going on? I have like 1,000 items on my desk that I'm like, I could use this as an Astro in a moment's notice. I have like fucking lip balm. This is an Astro. Do something with it. Tape, measuring. I don't know. You could do something with it. A glasses kit. Fucking a Switch controller. Fucking Lego Muppets. I do something besides a fucking lighter again. It can't be this simple. Have him have a little fucking candle in his pocket. Give an interesting reason for it. Like, I just, like, you write fiction for a living. How are you this boring?
The lighter's gone. The perfume spritzer is gone. Kenpa reappears and she says, "I'm Hagakure from My Hero Academia. I can turn invisible." And she also has stolen back Tarasu's medallion thing. He is fine now. She tosses it to him, and then she's like, "These are your links, right?" And she just drops them on the ground and just stomps on them.
And I guess that's a thing you can do?
I guess
like,
so.
You can just destroy your opponent's Astros, which is fine. Like, I'm not against it. Like, you know, I fuck with Zatch Bell, and, like, defeating your opponent by essentially eliminating their powers forever was, like, the entire thing. But, like, this is such an unceremonious way to reveal that detail.
Also, like, yes, you can very easily smash a perfume spritzer like that. What kind of cheap-ass motherfucking lighter was this guy holding on to where he was like, "I will make this the link to my greatest wish"?
Yeah, again, remember the specific situation that came about. It was like, oh, when this shooting star happens, if you grab an item that's important to you and wish upon it. Like, this guy was just, like, grabbed onto his lighter. He's like, "I hope I get to become a boring asshole." I hope I get to become a boring transphobic shithead.
Yeah. And they even tested in this moment. Because, yeah, Tarasu's like, "Yeah, when you guys stole my pendant, I realized that you can't use an Astro without your link." And so they're like, "Well, maybe we can still use them if we gather up the pieces." And so they try and do it, and it don't work. So then Karin's like, "Okay, then let's use the gun that we stole from the cop." Didn't think to grab that, by the way. It was like the other thing that you knew that they had stolen. It was brought up at the beginning of this chapter, and Kempa was like, "Yeah, I stole this and this and this." Didn't pickpocket the fucking gun. But okay.
Which is wild, because I do think there's like an interesting thing to establish in a series with like battle powers is like, how dangerous is a gun? Like, legitimately. Like, because I don't say that like in a way to dismiss it. I think there's like an interesting thing you can do where like, we have these powers, but like they're limited. Guns are still legitimately very dangerous. There is still like a concern of someone just pulling out a gun and shooting you. But they don't like, they just kind of no-sell it here. Like, eventually it's just like, they pulled out a gun. It's like, actually, no, I guess all of our powers are cooler than, I don't know. It just feels like a waste of setting any kind of tension or world building or anything kind of going on. Like, nothing matters. Let's just pull out our boring powers and do the one boring thing with it that we couldn't do.
So, the actual best part of the chapter, Quinn. Tarasu blocks the bullets with his shield thing, of course, and then goes, Hibaru, show these posers the real deal. And Hibaru, great leader, has got a great speech for this moment, because they've just used the stolen gun of a police officer here. And Hibaru says, you didn't think twice before pulling the trigger, but that's not just any punk's gun. That's the gun of a righteous man. And you losers ain't worthy of shooting a gun like that. Yes, the most noble tool, the most noble weapon in all of human existence. A pistol. The most noble weapon.
Pistol.
A cop's gun.
An item that has never been used for violence or unjust actions. It has never been used to take innocent lives. Also, wasn't this cop like kind of like a cowardly goober? Like, wasn't that kind? And he's just like, you don't understand how cool this guy was. I'm like, did he do anything to help you? Like, what's proven to you that this guy is actually a righteous man?
I don't think he's done anything that is actually helpful in this.
I guess it's because he asked for help or something like that. I don't know.
He knew that he couldn't handle the situation, and he bravely ran away. So he team rockets them, just punches them through the skylight. They go flying out of the building. And then afterwards, they're like, thanks to you, we got back all the stolen objects. It was mostly food because these petty thieves needed food to survive. But they were bad guys. Therefore, they were looters. Fuck them. They deserve to die and starve. Yeah. So they say goodbye to the cop. And he's like, let me thank you properly. And Hibaru's like, nah, we're Yakuza, remember? And as we all know, if there's anyone that's going to support the thin blue line, it's career criminals.
Just imagine the world where like Tony Soprano is like putting the thin blue line and a Punisher sticker on the back of his car. He's just like, we gotta support our boys in blue. They're doing dangerous work too. I don't know what Tony Soprano sounds like. But...
You know what I always say? Don't stop believing. So, Ibar is like, hey, if you ever see any more bad guys around here with Astros, then the Hibaru faction will take care of them. Astros are strong and dangerous powers, and that's why I want to use ours to help people. And they're all like, yeah. And then they go back to their family headquarters. By the way, obviously, like, they've White Mage has joined the party. Like that's happened now. They've got it. Someone joined up. They didn't even make a thing of like her joining them. She's just with them now.
Well, Nick, that would require giving her a character.
Oh man,
you can't do that, Nick. Right now, gun to your head. Tell me a character trait about this character, besides that she could turn invisible. And I'm asking authentically. If you have something, I'm open to it. I do not remember.
You mean she is the cop's daughter?
Is she?
Yes.
I don't even remember that. What? I thought she was just like their fucking friend. Oh my god. Look, I'm sure we'll get great stuff. Is that how we're wrapping the chapter up at this point?
That's it. I don't know why it is the way it does, which is they got back to headquarters. Ginji is like, why is Kinpa with you? Oh my god, you all stink. And that's it. It's like, it's such a weird ending.
So this, I don't know what you want to call it. Like, this little section's not good, like, for a lot of reasons. Like, its main purpose, I think, was supposed to introduce ourselves to this new character. And then, it sounds like this was also supposed to be, like, a Tarasu is smart moment. Like, that was, like, something they were trying to accomplish in, like, the grand scheme of this. Neither of those really got accomplished particularly well. We were given like a bunch of throwaway villains that like I could not give less of a shit about. Like obviously the fact that it's like shitty trans representation, like whatever. There's there'll be video essays about this related topic. I'm sure you could find if you want to carry on that narrative more. It's just enough to say it sucks here. But they didn't do anything interesting with their powers or their astros or their personalities or their backstories or anything. So nothing like interesting was accomplished there. So it's just sort of like a 2-chapter stretch that just feels like my time was wasted. And I sit here saying like, all right, this series that started with like the idea of like an interesting promise is like very rapidly like unraveling into something less interesting. And I sit here like, do we want to keep reading this? But I don't want to like just drop it because I want to like pick something else up. And I'm like, do I like this better or worse than Kagurabachi? Is the question I have to ask myself.
On the one hand, I would have to read what we haven't read of Kagurabachi.
That's true. That is the big factor. That's a lot of Kagurabachi to go through.
Honestly, though, at its worst, Kagurabachi was just uninteresting. If it turns out that it is like worth discussing now, then I think that this chapter was both bad enough and so free of merit or interesting content that is a very compelling point all on its own to switch it out for something else. Just pull the emergency release on this.
I like part of me is like, okay, I mean, we're only in chapter 9. Like series have slow starts, like it's happened. Like this is like as mentioned, like this is an accomplished author. This is somebody who has like a hit series in this genre. Maybe we'll take some time to get there. But also I'm like, this chapter was kind of fun to talk about because it was just dog shit. Like it was just really bad. So I'm like, I don't know, because I remember at like when I say worst, I mean like worst for the show. Kagurabachi was often just very boring. It was often there's no interesting characters, people are dumb, whatever. But like I'm like, at least with this, I've had something to talk about with this series, just like being like comically incapable of like accomplishing anything. So I'm like, I want to give Astro Royale a little bit more of a shot, but I am ready. Like if you were to think like, oh, it's like the nuclear button, the keys are in, and I've turned them, so the little glass lid is lifted. I haven't hit the button yet. I just want you to know the lid's open. We're ready to go on a moment's notice, but we haven't quite hit it yet.
Yeah, there is that very famous scene in Bob's Burgers where he's teaching I don't know any of the characters' names. I'm sorry, I don't actually watch the show.
Jean, Louise, Tina. Those are the 3
Tina.
kids.
Tina. He's teaching Tina how to drive, and it's the empty parking lot except for the one car.
Yeah.
And so he tells her way up front, it's like, okay, just so you know, like you seem to be drifting in the direction of that car, so just make sure that you don't keep drifting towards it. And they keep on approaching. He's like, Tina, just pick any direction. Just don't, Tina. And he's getting more and more panic. Like we're in that moment of like the full blown panic right now. The cars haven't hit yet. It is technically still avoidable, but it's like, how the fuck did this happen to begin with? That we're in this position.
It is astonishing how much of a whiplash and quality this series has taken over such in a short period of time. And I know there are some people in our Discord who will argue though, like, because I know there are some people who from chapter 1 were not into this series.
Sure.
And that's fine. Yeah. But like, even for us who liked the first couple chapters, this series has like plummeted in intrigue. So I have no idea. I feel like I almost just want to study this manga at this point. Just be like, isn't it astonishing that its best chapter just apes like the 98th best chapter of One Piece?
Speaking of aping, so let's move on to Yokai Buster Murakami, a new series in Shonen Jump. This is replacing Greens. Chapter 1.
You can't put that pressure on this series, Nick. It didn't choose to.
I wasn't going to until I read it, Quinn.
I don't disagree with you. This is maybe one of the worst Jump Start first chapters I've ever read.
Chapter 1.
Against it.
Chapter 1. Here comes the Yokai Buster. That is a fucking threat. Oh my. First of all, look, guys, I am going to be fully 100% honest with you. I did not read this chapter until like Tuesday with all the rest of the manga because I saw Yokai Buster and I was like,
you were like,
no.
Fuck me.
Again.
Fuck my goddamn life once more.
I was like, oh, good. Another Exorcist series. And then I looked closer and I realized, oh, another gag Exorcist series. We've done that too many times too. God.
No.
Do something else.
No, Nick. I mean, so like, understand, it may be an Exorcist series, but there's like a funny gimmick to this one. This time it's about yokai.
Yeah, it's different. It's different.
And no, but it's also about how yokai have like interesting backstories that are a little bit comical.
Quinn, this isn't even the first Exorcist series that's a comedy gag manga with the word Buster in the title.
Oh, wait, Securite? No.
Mitama Security Spirit Busters.
Oh, shit, yeah, that was actually
Do
kind of
something else, Japan! Fucking stop it!
There does... Look, I don't want to, like, obviously be like an American city or you're telling another nation what to do, but someone does need to tell Japan their mythology is not that interesting. Like, it's been overexposed. I don't know what to tell you. Your monsters aren't that cool anymore.
God, just I'm done. I'm done with all of this. Like I was comedically over the top complaining about series like this like 3 years ago, and we're still on this thread. It's never going to stop. I'm almost at acceptance. I swear. Like we're gonna get like next year when we inevitably get Tushijo-sama bust them ghosts. I will be like, fine, we're here, fine. I'll be at acceptance. I am at the worst point right now, though.
This is that point like where you're like, I love this person being manga, but it continues to just perpetuate the bad habit that makes me know, like, I really can't ever fully love you in that way anymore because you have this bad habit of making dog shit Exorcist series that I have to read 3 chapters of every 3 to 4 months.
I will never forgive you for that.
I think there's another one next week.
What?
I think we have another Exorcist series coming up.
Is there like just a perpetual line of people who are like, I also like Bleach. I also like Demon Slayer.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, like, you know how, like, after Pirates of the Caribbean got huge, a lot of people were like, pirates are the big thing, adventure series are the big thing.
There weren't a fucking billion movie franchise about it.
That's the thing. It's like, eventually all the, like, replacement ideas were so dog shit that they were like, oh, just, you can't just put Johnny Depp in a movie and it works again. Like, it's different. That lesson has never been learned about this. They're like fucking Mr. Jump is saying in an office and be like, I will the 48th time be the charm. Like,
oh my God.
the coffers of money behind them slowly dwindling. It's just like, I got a good feeling about Yokai Booster Murakami, though.
I get the sense that neither of us would be this worked up about this if we weren't both exhausted from the weeks we've had. So
tired.
Here is the premise of this. Let's face it, probably this entire series, like probably every chapter. It feels like this is the direction we're going in. If it turns out there is more varied comedy in this series, then I will take all this back. But it seems like this is going to be the thread that we go through every single chapter. There's a guy called Murakami. He is friends with an actual exorcist who is going around to exorcise yokai. Turns out the exorcist is a big coward and wants help from his friend who is comedically underplaying everything. But also he is a very good and loyal friend, so it's obvious to him that he should help people out, even though he has a blank expression all the time and doesn't have exorcist powers of his own. Yes, I also like Mashal. So
Nick, but this is a great comedic setup, because imagine in our universe, like, we're redoing this. I'm the exorcist girl who's afraid of everything, and you're the one who undersells everything. So, like, we could do this. Like, we could do it. We just, like, need to put it out there, right?
I don't have the patience
Nick,
to do this joke over and over again.
a Kappa just showed up. How do you react to it? You get to be so wacky in response.
It's no. I don't even get to be wacky. I just get to be mean. Like, the joke is that he's mean. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, but he's tearing the guy apart, and he's talking about how stupid these monsters are and stuff, and it's like how stupid the mythical creatures are. It's like, oh, can you believe that Kappa go around with their greatest weakness is just a plate on their head exposed to the elements. If it dries out, then and cracks, then they are defeated. They die. So they have to hang out in the water, and all we have to do is stay out of the water. And why do you have a plate on your head? Isn't that like a man-made item? It's not a natural thing. And it gets to a point eventually where, like, Murakami is on the Kappa's side and is trying to defend it. Not Murakami, his friend.
Yeah.
I don't remember the actual exorcist's name. The exorcist is, like, on the Kappa's side and is trying to, like, go over it. The Kappa also, like, does the thing where he takes over the bodies of a few passing girls, and then Murakami's like, so is that ability limited to girls? Yeah, okay. And then they eventually make out. It was like, oh, the Kappa's a pervert. He just likes sticking things up people's butts. He likes possessing weak girls, so he's just a sexual predator. It
was a strange way to tonally move the comedy of this chapter too.
Yes. Yep. And then at the end, after the Kappa's plate cracks because he's so humiliated under the force of Murakami's unrelenting snark, he falls over, and for some reason Murakami gets behind him and looks at him, and he's like, "You've got 3 buttholes. No wonder you're into butts." Okay, he turns into a chibi Kappa because he's lost all of his spirit energy. He gets sealed by the Exorcist guy, goes into a card captor Sakura card, and then that's it. It turns out that the way to defeat yokai is to make them lose their confidence. So you just need someone to be, a middle schooler around them, and they'll criticize every single aspect of your existence till they give up. Turns out also, the Kappa is a big pervert. So honestly, the only joke that I like right here is that he gets his phone out and he's like, since my secret's exposed, I'm just gonna watch porn at max volume. And the porn that he watches goes butts.
I do like,
which is not what any porn does.
It's very funny because you're like, yeah, what porn is this where the character is just saying butts over and over again?
So yes, honestly, the Cap is much more amusing when he's in this chibi form, and he's just like, you know what? Yeah, I am a little pervert. Fuck you guys, and he just starts running around.
Yeah.
Okay, and Murakami's like, I've decided I don't like it that these guys are doing this stuff and that you're being picked on because you're weak. So let's go steal all the yokai. So hey, they're gonna go and do this thing. Okay.
I would comment more about why this series is bad, but we have 30 minutes left, really, and like 4 chapters. So let's move on and talk about Marriagetoxin.
Toxin, yes. We deserve to talk about good manga now.
Well, we have a stretch of good manga that briefly interrupted by New Exorcist, but then after that, it's generally pretty good stuff.
Chapter 91 of Marriagetoxin, so it's time for the confrontation between the Kurokawa family, the Fire Clan's representative, and Ushio. Ushio accompanied by, I always forget his name because it's Gero. I keep on looking and I want to go Jiro, and it's like, that's not how you say it. Akane by Gero and Minakawa. So they meet with the head of the Fire Clan, who has just a skull that he has on fire. Because these guys are like that. And, he's showing off how, terrifying he is. His name is Haibe. His children are Heisei and Haichi. His son is Heisei. He's got a fully bandaged face. Haichi is the woman who met with them before and was leading them around. And then his younger son is Haibu, the next head of the clan. And as he comes in, he just sets the sliding door on fire and walks through it because he knows how to make an entrance. Like his freaking wrestling theme plays when this happens and stuff. Also, he does a sexist towards Ushio by saying she's got a pretty face. And then says, how about I make you turn into a real head turner like my own older brother whom I burned because I'm an evil bastard. Yes.
He's a real jerk.
Ushio no sells it. She just says like, all right, so let's be clear. If I beat this guy, you're going to stay the fuck out of my business, right? So, yeah, I was like, ha ha ha, you misunderstand. It's true that fire is weak against water, but that does not apply to the way of the fire. And he has someone get a whole ass fire hose and point it at him, and he blazes so hot that it just evaporates on him. But also he burns his clothes off. This dude got naked, put clothes on, and came here just to get naked again.
Well, no, those are two different characters, wasn't it? The first one was the dad who we saw. I thought.
I believe you're right. So I guess
it's just a thing that this family gets real naked because their whole thing is fire, I guess.
Yeah, but they have long hair, which doesn't get us out of fire. That's fine. So he says straight up, the only way you could possibly beat me is if you were to resort to a sneak attack. You got it? And Haibe is cackling. Is like, yes, we are blessed with the dragon's divine protection. All others are fuel for our fire. And then they walk off. Haichi asks for an audience with Ushio, and they go as well with Gero and Miyakawa. And she takes them to where the final bout will take place, which is in front of a statue of the legendary dragon from their clan's history. And she says, yeah, I wanted this to take place. Normally, my older brother Heisei would be in line for the clan leadership. But the fire users have this obsession with this dragon that doesn't exist. And that is what led to our fall from the top 5 families. Heisei saw what was happening, tried to modernize our clan's practices, but a lot of people didn't want that to happen, so they went to Haibu, convinced him to challenge him for the next spot of the clan leadership, and this is what happened. Haibu triumphed over Heisei by burning his own brother's face with overwhelming flames that could burn even a fire user's skin. That's how dangerous this guy is. And even the people who were previously siding with Heisei switched over to Haibu. They went with the winning hand. So she begs, please defeat Haibu in this final bout, because our clan is going to fall into ruin if it doesn't happen. And Ushio says, do you understand what you're saying to me? Why the fuck would I care about a clan that threw me away to die? I'm going to beat that man, and it's just so that I can ensure the stability of my business. And she does a cool thing, too, with her water powers, where she makes an image of the dragon and then crushes it in her fist because she's awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no more words are exchanged after that. They are taken to their quarters to rest for the night. And Haichi, of course, takes Ushio and Gero to a two-person tatami mat because they're supposed to be married.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that little wrinkle.
Yep. So they are left to their own devices there. Gero immediately is like, ah! So he, is like, how am I supposed to rest and relax in this situation? But Ushio just fully starts undressing so that she can rest for the night. And we get a shot of her back. Her skin is starting to react to the dry air. And he gets embarrassed, and she's like, look, it's not a big deal, right? And Gero's like, afterwards, they're both in bed, both, sticking to their own sides of it. And Gero says, like, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have an ointment for your dermatitis with me right now. And I know that this is going to be especially hard on you because the air at the grounds is like really, really irritating for you. And that's going to play to the fire user's advantage. But I know that you've got nothing to worry about. He starts trying to pick her up, but she starts trembling and he doesn't see that. And so she says, hey, can I get your comfort for a bit? And he agrees without really knowing what that means. And she turns around and just presses up against his back, just kind of cuddles into him from behind. It's a very sweet and vulnerable moment. She put on a big brave front, and she's like, I'm gonna fucking do this. And it's like, yeah, but she also is scared and needs someone who she cares about in this moment. It's nice.
Yeah. It's a good moment. It's also one of those moments that makes you like appreciate size scale in a way, because she feels really tiny in this shot with Garu. Like he seems gigantic. I know it's just the natural height difference between them, but I don't know. There's something to it that's nice to see.
It makes you appreciate framing and what is it called? I can't remember the name of it, but staging, I guess.
Yeah.
Because she's always portrayed as like, strong and slender and tall and powerful. But then you put her right here in this moment. It's like, oh, I guess she is just smaller. And then, of course, that size difference emphasizes how small she feels in the moment.
Yeah.
Good.
It's very, very good, cute stuff. Nobody ever better hurt Ushio or I'll kill them. I'll rip out their tongues.
New Sexorcist. Chapter 54. Gakuro and Senpai's battle. Yeah, so Gakuro has just used his new technique, Xenoblade! Graham! And so he uses that against Bomb Explosion Boy. And he's like, oh, I better block this. And he gets his hands up to guard it. And it just seems to pass right through his hands. And it strikes Wanyudo. And there's a big, burst of energy and stuff. And Kakuro's like, oh, I wonder if I got him. And Wanyudo is just immediately like, gonna grab your face, gonna explode you. And he says, your blade was so fast I had the illusion you'd cut through my arms. Not sure exactly what that means in combination with the visual we saw where it seems to phase around your arms. But anyway, so despite the fact that Gakuro's got this cool new technique, Wanyudo clearly has the big advantage here. He's like, oh, I see you're trying to break my hollow weapon. How do you expect to do that when this is, quote unquote, your best? And everything starts to swirl around him and stuff because Gakuro starts to absorb the shadows in the space that they're fighting in. And he launches in a big attack at the hollow weapon, and it does jack shit. Gakuro's like, I didn't even chip it, and that was my biggest attack. And Wanyudo goes to grab again. Ha! Grab you! Oh, and he covers his face with the shadow, so the shadow explodes on his face, and Gakuro's fine, because only the shadow exploded 3 inches from his face. He's fine. So, Wanyudo's like, come on, try harder, I'm gonna blow up the hostages. And Gakuro's like, Senpai will save them all! And Wanyudo says, no, she won't. She's not gonna make it out here without tools to help her through this vast labyrinth. And even if she does reach the top, the level 3s have orders to kill everyone the moment they sense command energy. And Gakuro's like, she's way more incredible than you think. She's so incredible, we don't even see her get out of the vault. She just kind of shows up where she needs to. That's how awesome she is. There are a few creepy moments where a child in the building... Go ahead.
Nick, this chapter's kind of boring. I'm gonna go get some olives, and I'm gonna come back.
Okay. There's a few creepy moments where a level 3 spirit sees a child who can see spirit things, and they're in terrible danger. The kid even like goes to the spirit and is like, "Here, I'll give you a thing that I really care about." They say it's my treasure, but we don't see what it is. Anyway, so the level 3 reaches out to kill the kid, and then it gets blasted, cut in half by Suo. Yay! She shows up and is like, "Hey, you did a good job, kid. I'll take care of the rest." The level 3 starts to rip itself apart, and she uses a spirit thing to contain the blast, and it blows out the side of the wall instead of hurting everyone. And she's like, oh man, not only did that level 4 cause these spirits to blow up, he also made it so that they would blow up if it pulled out its trump card. Okay. More level spirits show up. All right. Gakuro, in the meantime, has not been doing so hot against Wanido. Wanido is like, "You're mediocre," which is a great thing for just to stay at your opponent. And then Gakuro goes, "Grr, I have a hollow now!" And Wanido's like, "Oh shit!" And like even goes, "Oh, you're scary now." And Gakuro says, "I won't die! Senpai will come back! I don't just believe it! I know it! Right now, I do have enough power!" And Wanido's like, "Huh, this is weird. It's as if his spirit has been replaced by something else." And Gakuro's neck goes zzz.
Mm-hmm. I got olives, by the way.
You got olives. Quinn's
I bought
got
this
olives.
jar yesterday. It's getting pretty low. So this is,
But
I
how full
told
is
you, like I eat, like I don't know how to stop. See, olives are the perfect snack because every time you pass by the kitchen, there's no one to stop you from just being like, "I'm just gonna have like 3 or 4 olives," like, and you think you pass by the kitchen probably like 5 or 6 times in a day potentially. Every time you're grabbing like 3 or 4 olives, like it adds up quick. You know what I'm saying?
No, and I don't know if I will ever be in that headspace to understand what you're saying.
Nick, this is
honestly.
girl dinner right here. I'm just gonna eat this jar of olives.
So this chapter of New Exorcist was very unimportant and kind of boring. So let's just move on and not talk about it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Pretty bad. Pretty boring. Olives, though, pretty good.
Akane-banashi, story 114, Yin and Yang. With a color page, with the gang eating instant ramen. Ain't that nice?
Do you think they're eating olives at all?
No, they are not.
Nick's just got no fucking patience for this olive bit. He's like, shut the fuck up about these goddamn olives.
I don't think you understand how little I can relate to the eating of olives for any purpose, let alone as a tasty snack.
You don't like olives?
No!
Oh my god. So wait, if we go out to lunch somewhere and they give you olives, can I have your olives?
Yes, you
Oh
can
my
have any olives
God.
that I'm giving. No,
That's so-
unless we go out with Nicole, in which case she has first dibs on them.
Okay,
But
that's fair.
Although
I'll
think
give
that-
Nicole my olives if she wants them.
I don't know if
That's
I have.
fucking love.
I don't know if Nicole has any particular affection for olives either, though. You may end up just getting the lion's share of the olives at the table.
Fuck yes.
So. Akane-banashi, Maikeru is continuing his performance, and he has gotten to the big emotional turn in his story, where it's now a ninja banashi, a tale of redemption, and the inheritor of great wealth says to the steward, "Hey, you've done me a great favor," and actually thanks him for isolating him and forcing him to realize what he needs to do. He goes to his father, asks how his mother is doing, he asks how his family and friends are, and the journalist guy who just wanted a disaster is like, "Huh, I get it." He started off goofy so that now you're like seeing all the development that he's had. There's a shift, and Akemi has realized this too, and whatever. So he has realized this too, and is like, "Hey, there's a shift in the audience. The mood is different here. They're all engaged, paying attention." But a steward approaches the young master, and he says, "Hey, while you were staying in the warehouse, all these letters came for you, and the person who sent the letters was a beautiful young geisha, Koito, who frequently the young master would go to see her on his forays into the night. It was actually that he was in love with her. He would go to visit her specifically all the time, and all these letters showed up, and so he's asked, like, what is this? And so he reads the most recent one, and it says, "Many letters I have sent in the hope of seeing you, yet you do not come to visit me. If you will not pay me a call after this letter, I shall not see you again in the world of the living." Uh-oh! The young master awkwardly excuses himself says goodbye to his parents and the store staff. He rushes off to find her. And as this happens, Maikeru narrates to himself, I actually hated Ninja-banashi because they always seemed like, technique was just like insincere and cynical. Stories that you recited from the heart, technique and heart, individualist and busybody. Miyazaki were like polar opposites, which is why he shone so brightly. I feel that way still, even now that I'm the senior apprentice. Deep down, I'm still that guy. And he reflects on the first thing that he said to Shigema when he explained why he wanted to be a Rakugoka. Oh, I just like that you get to do everything yourself. And he says, I can't be like Aniki. However, this cuts out of his flashback to like a horrified face he's making, and he sees that for our non-video people, Quinn like very mischievously, just tauntingly ate an apple. Ate an olive. Sorry, I'm so not into olives that I'm inventing other food that she could be enjoying right now.
It was me being like, no one will hear you, Quinn. You can just sneak this olive in. But I started laughing and giggling about it. And then I saw you catch my eyes. And I was like, oh no, I've been seen.
If you just ate it normally, I wouldn't have paid attention to you. Stop it. This is why you can't be like Aniki, Quinn.
Damn! I never get to be like Aniki.
So, in the story, yeah, the young master has learned that his love, Koito, is, gone. There is like a little memorial set up for her in the geisha house. And he is like, what is this? Why is she here? And the madam of the house says, this is because of you. 3 months ago, you promised that you would go and see a play with Koito, and she was looking forward to it. She woke up extra early so that she would look nice for you. And when you did not appear, she said, I wonder if the young master has grown sick of me. From that moment onward, not a day went by that she did not write you a letter. She pined for you so fiercely, she could scarcely eat a bite of food. And through her tears, she wrote to you every single day, and yet you never came to see her. And as this is unfolding, like, the audience is like tearing up over this story, and we're get analysis like, I always thought he was just like a big bright cheerful goofball. I'd never seen this from him, the pathos and pain, raw choking emotion. And we cut to a flashback of Akane reacting to Maikeru performing Changing Time the way that Shinto would do it. And Akane saying it felt warm, just like my dad. A comment that caught Maikeru off guard. And Maikeru says to himself, all the time I thought I was doing the giving. It turned out I was the one being gifted. And we hone in on the cloth that everyone signed off on, saying like, I believe in you, go get him, and get good luck. And that's what Maikeru says, I can't be like Aniki. No matter where I've gone, what I've done, it's always been about me. But at this point in my life, I think I can finally speak on these things. Shallowness, loss, rebirth, the life that I've led, the story I want to show. And in his performance, he buckles over and he says, how could I be such a fool? All that regret in the story is mixed in with his own regrets over what has happened in his career as a Rakugoka. And everyone's like, there was all that like weird shallowness, the obnoxiousness before, and now it's fraught with regret. The reason why he did all that was to show this transformation in his performance to reflect the transformation in the character in the story. He is a master of yin and yang, light and shadow. And Zensho reacts to this by like getting ready to like break his fan in half, and he's like, my plan was perfect. perfect in every way, as long as he was the same type as me. But you're one of them, the hardcore Yakugoka. Curse you, my Karaka. Just cursing. It was like, how dare you be talented? Fuck you. And to bring it all home, there is a musical accompaniment that happens as we enter into seemingly like the last stage of Maikaru's story. And yeah, we leave all on that. And this was a big emotional chapter with a lot of cool stuff in it for Maikaru.
Yeah, we get a lot of cool stuff. I like the excuse me. Olives, do a lot to the voice.
They do. All the oil, the salt.
You said that so knowledgeably, yes. Factually.
Yeah, they do. It's almost like, certain things are good for a podcast and some aren't.
Wait, are you saying it's not great content that I abruptly left the podcast in the middle to grab a jar of olives and just start eating them on the air?
Come on, everyone. Let me go and get an entire package of saltines and just chow on down on them right here.
If it made you happy, I would let you. I should say let you. You're always allowed to do anything you want.
You can't really stop me.
Yeah, I really can't. But I support it. I applaud it even. Anyway, this is a great chapter. I do love getting like the full like breadth of Maikaru, and it's just like, yeah, like he has this silly little goofball with a like ridiculously serious and authentic side to him, which is how we've kind of gotten to know this character. But like, portraying that through his style of Rakugo is a difficult thing, and I liked it a lot. So good stuff.
It's gonna be so insane if Yisho fails this guy after this. No, you tried to make me feel things. How dare you?
It could happen. It legit could happen. So we shall see. But Nick, let's wrap the weekly manga recap up with chapter 1117 of One Piece. A, nothing else, just A. Yeah. And we get a cover page story, Yamato's little adventure. He's saying goodbye to Cat Viper and getting some gifts from the Yakuza before you go. Fuck, One Piece is even a better Yakuza manga than Astro Royale.
Absolutely.
Damn. Okay.
This is so cute. He's talking to Giant Cat. It's
great. I wish I could be Yamato right now. So there's a lot of things going on. This message is going across the whole world. A bunch of different characters are reacting to it. I don't have time to get to them all. I believe there is a shot of Mont Blanc, I think is his name, with his two helper monkeys, Mashima and something else or something, or Mashira something. I don't know. The guy from Nolan's story, he's like, oh, we should dive in the ocean, because that was the last reveal, is that the entire world kind of sunk before previously. We cut over to the Navy G5 General Hospital, and we see the members of SWORD reacting to things. I am too tired to remember these fucking characters' names. I think she's Hibari. I don't know anyone else besides Kobe and Helmipo. So, moving on. They're like, hey, this is so much to like gather. There's so many things going on. It's going to lead us to dangerous conclusions. Seems like, like, what do you think? I don't know. They're just talking about different things. We cut over to Drake, and Drake's looking mopey outside. I don't know why. I don't care enough about this character to remember why he's doing things, but he's being mopey. Go over to Smoker, who's just driving his smoke motorcycle across the ocean. He calls Tashiki. He's like, hey, where are you at? And she's like, I'm at the hospital. They're like, we know bits and pieces, but we don't know the full story about what Vegapunk is doing right now.
I like how Smoker refuses to ride his motorcycle like a motorcycle.
He just crosses his arms the whole time. I'm like, God damn. All right.
The handlebars are right there in front of you.
Right
they exist
there,
for you to put your hands on them.
So, cut over to the Straw Hats on Egghead. They're like, okay, like the barrier is coming down. So what does that mean? Like if we shoot the ship off now, we're going to land like in a bunch of enemy ships, but we got to fire them off at any time. Zoro, Jinbei, where are you? And Jinbei's like, hey, look, we're almost there, but we're on the heels of a dangerous person, and it is Venus, who comes right up to the Thousand Sunny and begins to draw a sword. And we already know if his power just lets him cut through everything, he is going to cleave this ship in half. Everyone is terrified. So Jinbei fucking does the fastball special.
So good.
He loads Zoro up, launches him, and Zoro intercepts the attack, blocks it with the swords.
Also, this is a specific technique. It's called Fishman Jiu-Jitsu piggyback.
Yes. And Venus clashes with them, and even notes like, you have Kotetsu, so it's a little bit of a thing to get knocked back by like the strikes of their hockey. And there's some concern for the ship about Zoro, who gets caught by Jinbei, and Zoro just notes, push off now. We'll jump on. You cannot wait anymore, basically. Cut over to Bonnie's group. There's like some reactions going on there. So like, we're waiting for Luffy. Like, hurry up. He's like, I'm almost there. Get the ship moving. They also like that he's just screaming it. So Sanji's like, he's just going to yell out really loud about this. A bunch of the Viking pirates, or giant pirates rather, start destroying a bunch of ships because they're like, all right, let's get ready to get going, everybody. The giant captains kind of give the order, like, let's start wrapping this up. But you can't forget Vice Admiral Bluegrass, who uses one of the sea beasts to blow up a hole in one of the ships. And also, Austin's favorite character, Vice Admiral Doll, shows up and uses her special technique of Rock and Roll Blaster, where she punches you really hard and looks very attractive while she does it. So
yeah, there's not a lot of flavor put into it. Honestly, she just punches the guy.
She just punches him really hard with hockey. Everyone just says, love a good brawler. So we cut over, and the 5 elders have surrounded the giant robot. And Vegapunk's message is wrapping up at this point. And he says, I have one final message to impart to those scattered throughout the world who bear the name of D. Within you there is, and we see a cut of all these different characters. Dragon, Blackbeard, Ace, not Ace, but Sabo, Kobe, Beppo, which is interesting because I don't think we even
put some respect on Beppo being in this split screen.
It's notable because we don't really know what the status or condition of Law is at this point, so it is kind of interesting to get that. But while this is also happening, I forget which one this is. I want to say Mars is the bird. Notices the robot. It's like, I think that's the robot that attacked Marriagetoxin 200 years ago. I am certain of it. So there's a lot of concern, but the elders are here. They know where this thing is. They smash the robot. They just batter it, smash it. It goes flying into the ocean. The signal cuts out at that point before Vegapunk can reveal what those who bear the name of D have within them. So we've gotten a lot, but not all of it. However, Nick, there's one little bit of this chapter we have to discuss.
What is that, Quinn?
Well, I need to turn your attention all the way to page 2, Nick.
Page 2.
Yeah, you need to go right to the start of this. So I need you to look at the first panel of this chapter, Nick. Pirate Island.
Do you mean the one, the sliver, or just the whole thing?
The whole thing.
The whole thing.
Yeah,
okay.
Whole thing. But that sliver's important because I want you to look very closely at who is on the far right there.
Oh my God, he's here.
We get confirmation, Nick. Finally, after like 23 years, Jin's alive, baby. He made it. He lost his fucking blackness along the way, but Jin's alive. We get in this panel.
I didn't notice Jin at first. A, because he's surrounded by much more bizarre looking people. And B, because my entire attention in this panel is taken up by the person who's wearing a shirt that just says "Kill" on it.
I mean, you're on Pirate Island. You gotta do what you gotta do. But yeah, this is confirmation that the Dawn Creek pirates, because you can also see, if you look a little bit further to the left next to the person with Kill, you can also see Pearl kind of clamoring. So the Dawn Creek pirates are alive, which means we may still get payoff. Quinn finally vindicated after years of believing Jin is alive and may actually pay dividends still in this series. That deserves not just one, but 2 olives. Oh,
God.
I got
Carrot.
olive juice on me.
Carrot and Yamato like both reunite with the straw hats at the same time, and they're like, and we're finally to join. A foot comes in from off screen, shoves them in the face and pushes them out of the way. I'm joining the straw hats.
Yes! I'd go crazy if Jin joined the straw hats. I think the other notable thing is like the character isn't using tonfas, which was like the most memorable thing.
Sword on his waist.
He's just got some dumbass fucking sword. Like if he didn't have Krieg, who also, by the way, has changed a lot. He has like a full-on fucking mullet at this point. Like if he didn't have the stupid giant armbands, I wouldn't have even noticed this.
But he's like, I am still gonna wear this track jacket though.
Oh yeah, that's how you know he does have that. But hey, look. The One Piece live action show made sure that Jin showed up. He has reappeared in the New World.
He literally had a bigger role than Don Krieg did.
Yeah, I'm slowly getting more and more convinced that Jin will be a significant character in this series.
No comment.
No comment. But this is a good chapter of One Piece. We finally end the Vegapunk storyline or message storyline or whatever. But we got a lot of revelations out of it, and we stop with just a little tantalizing little bit. So, yeah.
All right. Well, with that all being said, Quinn, there was some wild stuff that happened this week, it turns out. There was some good stuff, a lot of bad stuff, and just some weird stuff. What was your favorite this week, though?
Yeah, this is tough, honestly. I think my favorite series is probably going to be... I really liked Kaiju number 8, even though I don't think this is like necessarily an amazing chapter. I do just really like that moment they shared between the two of them.
It's satisfying.
It was like a really satisfying thing.
My favorite series this week is gonna be Akane-banashi. Very emotional, and I love how well the regret pools between the story and my hero's own life. You know, there's of course this constant refrain of like, hey, this story is reflecting like the thing that a character is going through, but it was particularly potent in this story thus far. So really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
My MVP for this week, it's kind of tough. It would be my Kara, but I really don't like double dipping. I'm going to go with Ushio from Marriagetoxin. She didn't do a whole lot, but she showed, you know, like, oh, I'm a big cool badass. She showed, hey, I don't care about any of this stuff. I'm just being, you know, all business. And then she, you know, has this moment of vulnerability where it turns out like, yeah, she's trying to just put on a brave face, and there's a lot that happens with her in a very short period of time that I really enjoyed.
Nick, I think I know what my favorite character of the week is, or my MVP.
Who's your MVP?
Olives.
Can
I put olives?
That we did not read the Popeye comic.
Damn. Okay, I can't put. So you're saying I can't put olives?
Unless Olives happens to be the name of a One Piece character I do not know.
Fine.
Showed up and went.
Fine. Then I'm giving it to Jin, because I have not popped more than this one silent, dialogueless panel of fucking Jin showing up and letting my 23 or so years of torment finally mean something.
Torment?
People would always pick on me. I would see them on the street I'm walking by, and I would hear them whisper under their breath. They'd be like, that's the bitch that thinks Jin's still going to be important in One Piece. And I'd be like, oh no! But then I realized it's just my anxiety. Oh no, Nick's camera went out. It's such a great shot of Nick to be frozen onto.
Okay.
Okay.
If you can capture my horror, the mistreatment of Jin fans out there. I had no idea this was a plight upon the One Piece community. That's awful. Well, for, in recognition of Jin Pride Month, I guess, yeah, I think that's nobly chosen.
Thank you. The audience, by the way, picked Akane-banashi as the chapter of the week and Yukiko from Blue Box as the character of the week.
That is Taiki's mom, by the way. Her proper title is Taiki's mom.
Yes.
Just as Kaede's proper title is Fuka's mom.
Who, once again, go in and fuck her mom, please.
And guys, if you want more insane ramblings of a couple of nerds who read manga, we are on weeklymangarecap.podbean.com for all of our audio episodes. Video episodes are on youtube.com/weeklymangarecap.
And make sure you're watching the video version as well, because how else are you going to get the satisfaction of seeing me eat olives? And if this is a popular episode, we'll do a bonus podcast where I just eat a jar of olives into a microphone and tell you about my favorite things. Like, I'm just gonna be like, I love olives, nom nom nom. Sonic the Hedgehog, nom nom nom.
I'm very worried now. If you like video in general podcasts, we are on youtube.com/weeklymangarecap. We have an opening sequence done by Marriagetoxin and Wednesday Cheddar. Thank you guys for providing that for us. Steve Man also occasionally does title cards for us. You can check out his artwork by searching for Steve Man Art all across the internet. We also want to thank Ninja X3I for keeping track of all sorts of great and helpful stats associated with the show, including recommendations, both past and future. If you would like to recommend a series for us to cover in a future episode, make sure to check that out. It'll be linked wherever this podcast is, along with the Discord community, which is posted up in all of our podcast postings. You can link there. You can participate in conversations about manga as the chapters come out. The current recommendation, which is Free Rent Beyond Journey's End, which we are still reading our way through. And you can also just like hang out and talk about general stuff as well. There are many different sub-communities, many of which are associated with topics I have no connection or stake in. So
we need
but
someone...
you guys might.
Yeah, look, if you're listening to this and you play Limbus Company, you need to get your ass on this Discord and come into our gotcha chat, because that's the game they talk about. I try to pop in every so often with Honkai Star Rail, this insanely popular game that has like millions of players worldwide and is like one of the most highest grossing games. Not a single other fucking person comes in to talk about it. But Limbus Company, a game I've barely ever heard of, I feel like 90% of its player base is part of our Discord, and they talk about it every day, and I fucking love them for it.
We will have more Weekly Manga Recap, presumably back at our usual time on next Wednesday in the evening. So we'll see you then, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for being super, like, helpful and, like, you know, what's the term? Well, like, you're flexible.
Oh. Well, I mean, there's that, you know.
I guess I was thinking of a word that didn't exist. Anyway, thanks for being flexible, guys. We've had to change recording days. That's difficult. You've stuck with it. You're good eggs. And you know what? You're good eggs because you sat through this podcast. Like, I was tired the whole time. I don't know if I was even good in this episode. So this episode might have been dog shit. And then I ended it by just eating olives for like 20 minutes. I have no idea. So, you know, just a big thank you, just in general, to everybody who's listening, and especially to you. You know who you are. I'm talking to you specifically. A big thank you to you. In fact, one last olive for you. A toast to you, you special someone who knows who they are. Cheers.
I need to get away from this. No.
Don't make me spill my olives.
Well, don't. I didn't make you do anything.